Hello everybody, Fantasticairy here, back with another video. In this week's video, I'm going to be sharing with you my first watercolor sketchbook tour of the Hahnemuhle Watercolour Book. This will be part 1, as I've reached the halfway point of the 60-page watercolor sketchbook. So far, I'm really enjoying this specific sketchbook. This paper has been very high quality. It's cold pressed, 200 GM, 95 pounds. It's 5.5 inches, 60 pages front back. Non-aging, non-acid. Okay, let's get started. On to the first couple pages of the sketchbook. Going back in time, this is December 29th of 2024. I started off by filling the first page with some colorful leafy things, mushrooms, a skeleton. I love my skeletons. On the right side is actually when I went to visit my friend in Lethbridge, Alberta. We went to the nature reserve and I took some pictures and I painted when I got home all the things that I saw that day. I think my favorite was capturing the sun and the kind of overcast sky with the bridge. It was a perfect composition, so I'm glad I got to take a photo of that and recreate it as a watercolor painting. On to the next page. It looks like I painted these between January 2nd and January 6th. I continued that kind of leafy theme, a little bit of texture, painting, playing with some watercolor technique, painting more mushrooms, a little snail, and then I painted this pink swamp. It's actually one of my favorite paintings in the sketchbook, is this little scene of this pink swamp. I like the conceptual look of it and how the shapes in the background and the foreground look a little blurry, and then the details in the front and the colors overall blend really well together. And then I continued the theme of scenery painting over on the right. I painted a little forest with some mountains in the background, a desert, and then when I was visiting my sister, where they had a little bit more snow in the fields, I painted this winter scenery. And then I had a little fun with the painting on the far right corner with a little planet in the sky. I believe that's actually one of my videos if you want to check that out. The fun thing about painting small scenery is that you can cheat a lot of the details, and it's fun to play with shapes to create that believability of the scene, but keeping it conceptual. And then on our next couple pages, I was having fun with some desert scenes and painting cactuses. I find cactuses and succulents to be super interesting plants, and they're a lot of fun to paint, as they would have more detail than you think they would. And desert scenes, desert sunsets, and sunrises are so beautiful to paint. You can add in a lot of interesting looking plants, like this desert rose over on the right. I found these plants to be pretty cool. Continuing the theme of cactuses and just desert plants in general, I had a lot of fun exploring the desert through watercolor. One day I'll visit in person, and then we can paint the skies together. Overall, I love the colors of these pages, from the reds to the greens to the sky colors, the blues mixing with the pinks and the purple and the yellow. Very satisfying. It looks like I continued the desert theme right into some twisty trees. Before the twisty trees, I painted a couple more scenes of the desert, including this one with some mountainous plateaus and a moon. I found this reference online and I really liked how the lighting was, so I wanted to recreate that in a painting. And then I transitioned over into some twisty trees. I found these were really fun to paint. They have a lot of different characteristics and the overall shapes are super interesting. Their silhouette and their curve, their line of action was a lot of fun to paint. I like to fill in most of my sketchbook pages by filling in the empty spaces with themes that kind of fit what I'm painting on that page. And then we go from deserty plants to some little birds between January 31st and February 9th. I miss summer and spring at this point, so I decide to paint things that remind me of that, including little birds. You can mix the colors together to get certain colors, and then you can add the feathery details in afterwards. Super cute and lots of fun. And then the next page was just kind of a loose, sketchy page where I wanted to paint more mushrooms and some blueberries. I think the bottom right blueberries are my favorite. I find my sketchbook pages to be pretty organic these days, mostly full of plants, certain kinds of animals, and nature scenery. I believe this is my favorite full page spread, from the mossy skulls to the lichen and moss. The bottom right skull I actually painted with coffee, as I didn't have water with me at the time. Painting the mossy skulls was super satisfying. You can add a lot of different tones to the skull. It seems kind of dreary, but I find it organic and beautiful, how nature takes over. And then I decided to fill a whole page with just moss. It was really fun exploring the different moss and lichen colors and shapes, and there's so much more variety than you would think when you look at moss. Lots of different colors, and including some mushrooms as well. And this is when I started to add in my little palettes, my little circle and square palettes of the colors I use in the page, just to fill those gaps. I continued my foresty kind of theme and mushrooms. I painted more mushrooms on the left here, adding in my little palette circles to complete the page, and then moving forward with a foresty kind of page theme where I got the top right corner of this kind of dreamy looking forest scene. I wanted to paint some bark, so I painted this tree bark and then a mushroom again, and then the bottom right corner I painted this happier looking scene of a nicely bright forest. And this page takes us to March 19th, 2025. And here would be our first full illustration. On the left I have my planning, and on the right I created this full illustration called The Watchful of this giant skeleton overlooking these snails and their little mushroom grove. I like the blend between fantastical colors and organic colors. On the left, I wanted to explore some snail shells. They're actually a little tricky to paint. There's so much variety with them that you have to think about your layering working from light to dark, so it's a good study. This full page spread feels dreamy and colorful, but still organic. In our next page, I painted some birds. It started off with some ravens, some crows, and then I transitioned to owls, and I had a lot of fun painting the owls, so I made a full page of cute owls and cherry blossoms. I think my favorite is still the walking little owl. He has so much expression, and he's so cute. I also filled the gaps around this page with some more branches of cherry blossoms, and then the rest I went full on cherry blossoms and leaf petals floating around. This page is very colorful, and I really love how the cute owls and cherry blossoms turned out. Also the intense stare of the left owl that I painted. And then our next couple pages, as you can see, I'm waiting for spring. It's only April 7th and we still have lots of snow everywhere. As I do live in the forest, so I had access to some packed down trails where I could take a walk without sinking into the snow too much. So I went out and I took some pictures, some videos, and I painted this page in inspiration of that. There was a cedar tree with this giant hole in it, and then just these other trees with all the evergreen trees behind. It was a very sunny day that day. And then on the next page, I wanted more spring inspiration, so I painted this bumblebee, and then I painted some more blueberries, some more flowers, and then these wild strawberries, which is actually one of my videos as well. I really like how it turned out. It looks like something you'd find in your grandmother's kitchen wallpaper. It has a certain aesthetic to it. And then I continued my cherry blossom theme in the bottom of this page, painting in some flower petals with some leaves. This bottom left cherry blossom branch is one of my favorites. I like the texture of the flowers and how everything turned out. And then for our next full page spread, I have my planning on the left and my full illustration on the right. I continued the strawberry theme with the cherry blossom theme, and I created this kind of picnicky scene of a skeleton giving an owl in a tree a strawberry, a collection of all the things I was painting at the time. I really like the plaid pattern with the mix of the wet on wet technique, and of course the basket with all the strawberries in it with the green. It blended really well together. It was really cool. And then kind of just figuring out the woven basket and how to paint that in a pattern. These two pages just give me lots of spring vibes, and it was a lot of fun to paint. On our next two pages, I painted some of our local birds, the northern flicker, the New World warbler, the robin, the boreal chickadee, the northern cardinal, and then some also local mushrooms, as well as local flowers. I really like how the details on this page turned out, especially the robin and the northern flicker. And then on the right, I actually gave the gouache another go. I've been practicing with gouache when I have free time. I still have a long way to go, but it was fun to paint these grassy patches with gouache. I'm excited to explore the gouache medium a little bit more. I find it to be a little bit tricky, but that's probably just because I don't use it as often. I will say though, watercolor is still my favorite medium. Me and my boyfriend went out of town to run some errands, and I painted this boardwalk, as well as this pigeon that I saw, and then I continued the theme of spring. At this point, a lot of the snow has melted away and our flowers are starting to pop out of the ground, so I got to go out and plein air paint some of the things that I seen. And then I decided to take my watercolor wet on wet technique and create some colorful grassy patches. These paintings were super fun and some of my favorite paintings that I've done in the sketchbook so far. This technique was a lot of fun to explore, and I do have a tutorial on my YouTube channel if you are interested in painting these colorful grassy patches, if you are not already aware. I continued the grassy patches on the next page over, filling up that whole page and also adding my colorful little circle palettes. And then I transitioned into the right where I had this idea of this full illustration I am currently working on of a skeleton sitting in a meadow lit up by moonlight and covered in moths flying around. I love painting the moon and sky, and now that we have our grassy patch technique, I wanted to use that for this illustration. and then I practiced painting some moths. These ones look a little bit more conceptual than I was going for, but that's okay. I was getting a feel for painting their beautiful wings and colors and patterns. And then we've reached the halfway point. These are the most current pages I've gotten to in the sketchbook. This will be the 30-page mark. As you can see, I continued the moon theme and the grass theme, just doing a little bit more practice. And then I painted some colorfully unique moths, little small moths, establishing more detail into them. And then I continued the theme over on the right, just having some loose fun with the colors and the shapes. Page on the right's a little bit more conceptual, but I like how it completes the full page spread. This sketchbook has been taking me quite a long time, but I'm enjoying this process and this journey. I'm excited to fill the rest of the sketchbook as well, in which I'll share with you guys in the future. I'm definitely going to keep to my organic, kind of natural feel with nature elements of now bugs as well, animals, and mostly probably plants and scenery, as well as some full page illustrations. That about sums it up for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe if you want to see more. You can find me on the social medias, link in the description below, as well as my imprint shop, where I sell stickers, mini prints of the artwork I've done thus far, including my full illustrations, like this one, the Watchful. The mini prints come with a cute little stand, if you are interested. Again, link in the description below. Thank you so much again for watching, guys. I will see you next week as videos are every Friday. And this is where I say goodbye for now. Bye bye!